We will welcome. It's called to order September 23rd, 2019 regular meeting. Jay, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Moak, roll call, please. Here.
Here. Here.
Here. We will now turn to our superintendent reports. And Melissa, you have a number of items for us.
I do. We'll be discussing the administrator and teacher salary and benefits report for this year. For those of you who have been around for a while, you'll remember that this is an annual report. These are required website postings. The next thing that I want to share is discussion of, well, actually our celebration video. So I'm going to, Mike, can you cue that up for us?
Hi, my name is Jenny Burke. I am a parent of 3 boys in D41 who attend Ben Franklin School. Benjamin, my oldest son, was diagnosed with leukemia when he was in 1st grade in 2015. His teacher was Mrs. Rommel, who is the best. The Ben Franklin community has just come together and supported our family incredibly over the last 4 years, and this is our 4th annual lemonade stand. We have a mobile blood drive bus, and we have raised over $100,000 to the Anthony Rizzo Family Foundation with our lemonade stands. And Anthony, a cancer survivor himself, is an incredible inspiration to Benjamin and so many other kids at Lurie Children's Hospital. And so our family feels it's really important to give back, and the Glen Ellyn community has supported us in such a great way. So I cannot say enough about Jeff Burke and his team here at Ben Franklin. Just thank the district for being a part of this and supporting us. And September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and everyone wants to do something. This is a tangible way to give back and to help families in the most unimaginable time. So thank you so much.
This is incredible to have all these people here at our school, and what's exciting to me is just seeing what this family has done with the hand that their life has been dealt. You never know where your life is going to take you, whether that's up or whether that's down, and just seeing the positivity and to take something that devastating happen to your family and really build something this positive out of it is absolutely incredible. And I just want to give a huge shout out to the Burke family and the work that they have done. So thank you so much for what you've done for the entire community.
Yeah, what it really demonstrates is what community support can accomplish, that there's this broader group of people that cared very much for this young man, and people lining up all day to give blood. It really does show that we need one another, we live interdependently, and that when you make human contact with other people, you really can achieve terrific outcomes.
Thank you to Ken for putting that video together. I have a little note to read from Jenny Burke. We were hoping that she could be with us tonight. Jenny says, please pass along our gratitude for the support from the district and, as I said in the video, the steadfast support and compassionate leadership of Jeff Burke. We are so very grateful for our Ben Franklin community for caring for all of our boys during these last 4 very traumatic years. Thank you again for highlighting the lemonade stand and blood drive. If anyone would still like to join Benjamin's efforts, they can visit the Brave for Benjamin Facebook page, and it will take them to an online link. Currently, they have raised $23,000.
For this year.
For this year. Yeah. Another item that I would like to share is we were recently notified that Dr. McCluskey and a small team from District 41 has been selected to attend a conference on exploring dyslexia aligned to our curriculum. Katie, is there anything that you want to share? But why I bring this up now is because we're going to need to move the pre-K presentation from the 10/28 board meeting to the 12/9 board meeting because our staff will be at this conference. So Katie, do you want to share a little bit about the conference?
Sure, the conference is a unique experience that we were able to apply to as a district, and then they went through a selection process. So currently there are 2 of us that have been selected, and there's 3 of our staff members that are currently still on the wait list to attend with us. And what the opportunity is in the mornings, we get to spend time with neuropsychologists from the Child Mind Institute. And they will go through the latest research and discussions and studies regarding dyslexia and how to work with students not only in one-to-one situations, but also in classroom settings. And in the afternoons, they will be connecting that work to our units of study through Lucy Calkins and how we can embed that work into our daily instruction throughout the school day. So it's definitely a unique opportunity. This is the first time that they're offering it through Teachers College and bringing out experts from the field to support the work.
So we're really excited about that, and Katie can bring back information and give the board a little update. But again, we'll be moving the pre-K presentation till the December 9th board meeting. So we did our video celebration. Just a quick to go back, did the board have, we didn't receive any questions, but are there any questions regarding the administrator and teacher salary and benefits report or the IMRF report? All right, that's all I have for my report for tonight.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Okay, we have a number of board reports that are included in the agenda, and thanks to board members for writing these up. Any board reports from the table or summaries of what's been written?
I have one quick one. I told you I'd tell you. We had our first breakfast with Gia on last Friday at Hadley. Just where 2 board members it was just having a meeting at last Friday. Just go and just have casual conversations with the teachers and staff at the various schools. So I was able to attend the breakfast at Hadley on Friday, and I want to thank Dina and Tracy and Gia for putting that together. Our next scheduled breakfast is this Friday at Ben Franklin at 7:30. I know Julie is planning on attending. There's one open spot if anyone else is able to attend.
Wonderful. Thank you. Other board members? Ted, you're looking.
Oh, okay. I didn't know whether Jessica wanted to go. The Finance Advisory Council met back on the 13th. Mr. DePorter ran us through a high-level overview of building and operational costs of an early childhood learning center, broad overview of that, outlined various options for funding, including using a portion of the reserve balance as well as various borrowing opportunities. And then the group has reviewed some past history of facility studies that have happened. Next steps, the council was interested in getting some new cash flow projections once the year-end audit is completed. Wanted to get more of a breakdown of the operational costs associated with such a center, and then they were interested to learn that we have an enrollment increase of about 100 students this year, and they were kind of wanted to know a little bit about what the makeup of that was. And then, let's see, I also attended the Hadley PTA meeting on the 11th. Real quickly, Principal Dively extended his thanks for sponsoring the Teacher and Staff Appreciation Breakfast. He encouraged more parents to get involved in the PTA and noted that he values their input and comments because that gives him a lot of feedback in terms of how things are going. Let's see. We've got the color run coming up on October 18th. Student activity nights is today, this Friday after school. Hot dogs, chips, drinks, field games, and music with a DJ. They have filled their chair positions for 2019, but still looking for volunteers to help with various activities. They handed out 5 of their monthly Golden Apple awards to Mrs. Alimas, Mr. Marchese, Ms. Fitch, Ms. Winters, and Mr. Sobridge. And then we had a guest speaker, and this was the interesting part, so I saved it for last. They have, what?
That's okay.
Brian Liedeman, Social Studies Department Chair, presented the new schedule that they have. They have split the quarters into half quarters, 4.5 weeks each, and so that science and social studies get an 80-minute block during each one of those half quarters. And that it's better suited for setting up and performing lab exercises in science. And in social studies, he was talking about how it allows more time for reading, writing, and analysis so that they're more skill-based versus content-based, learning how to think versus memorizing facts. And I thought it was pretty interesting, but he says, I've already told them what the final question is, and this is what they're going to have to answer during this period. This is in his 6th grade unit on colonial America. Their compelling question is America a land of opportunity?
We'll be anxious to hear the answer.
Yeah.
6th graders will tell us. Thank you. That's it then? Beautiful. Thank you.
Yep, that's all I have.
All right, wonderful. Julie, how about yourself?
I have a couple. First, I will talk about the PTA council meeting I attended last week on the 16th. Don't remember which day that was. But they had several announcements. The council approved their officers and budget for the year. The local unit representatives reps from each school reported on their back-to-school ice cream socials. Largely successful and had some fun anecdotes and some of their upcoming events. Gilda Ross from the Glen Parent Series reported that there are 4 upcoming sessions specifically for elementary and middle school families. She emphasized that almost all sessions are appropriate for children to attend if parents need or want them there. And just on a personal basis, I would say I always sort of assumed they were for high school kids because it was called Glenbard. So apparently we are integral, and we can go and should go, and we are definitely included. So if others of you are out there that are thinking the same, we should be there. The next GPS event is tomorrow, actually, on the 24th, a discussion with Rachel Simmons about her book, Enough as She Is, Helping Teens Move Beyond the Impossible Standards of Success. Erica Nelson, who's heading up the community outreach, was there and reported on future events and the community outreach's partnership with the PTA. Kristen Massey-Kramer, who is the president of State PTA.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Cool, thank you. Reported their Advocacy Day in Springfield is October 29th. Their focus will be on mental health, gun safety, and educational funding. SPAC announced their new leaders and an upcoming coffee on the 25th. And Parent Camp this year will be on February 1st from 9 to 1, and will focus on elementary students.
Thank you.
And then one more, if I click on the right thing here. Next up, Lend. I attended the meeting with Dr. Bruno and a variety of other people. Who was there? You were there, Ted was there. Sort of 3 key issues that we talked about were property taxes, pensions, and fund reserves. First on property taxes, the Illinois General Assembly has developed a property tax force to relieve homeowners. However, in Illinois, as many of you know, that's how we fund our schools. And so our lobbyists, or Len's lobbyists, asked us to help her sort of reframe the discussion because the way it's being presented in the ILGA versus Len is sort of causing gridlock. So she's like, how can we reframe this so that we can make progress on this? Second, pensions. Also, as most people, or a lot of people are well aware, Illinois pensions have been underfunded for decades, and there is a consideration, which apparently has been always there, but maybe more urgent now, to shift the costs to individual school districts instead of the state of Illinois. And third, fund reserves. They're discussing limiting fund reserves to a maximum of, I think, 25%. Is that what they were saying? Is that right? And there are various problems associated with this, including the methods of accounting various districts use, the time of year they receive their tax payments, and both of those affect the appearance of their fund balance. I guess, yeah, that's all I got.
Very good. Thank you. Very good. And Jessica.
I have a few. So I attended the Lincoln PTA meeting on the 10th. They had a very well-attended first meeting of the year, welcoming the new principal, Sarah Rodriguez, and celebrating their successful kickoff event, which was an ice cream social and outdoor movie. With over 60 committees focused on students, parents, and teachers, there was quite a bit to discuss at the meeting. But some new clubs this year include Yoga Club and Ecology Club. They will soon kick off their Fun Run fundraiser to raise funds for field trips, school assemblies, and much more. On the 16th, I attended the DuPage Regional Office of Education Professional Development with Bill Daggett, with Dr. K, Dr. McCluskey, Dr. Bruno, Ted, and I was there. And it was at the Medina Schreiner Center with Bill Daggett's presentation entitled Preparing Our Children for the Future. It was a really thought-provoking presentation and very D41 affirming session that discussed national studies of the 25 most innovative school districts in the nation and the 25 most rapidly improving schools in the nation, and then a study of students that he didn't talk a whole lot about. I'm being asked to sign back into my computer, which has my report. Does anybody else have a report? Well, I can fix that up. Yeah.
I'll give you a second to do that. Two reports that I wanted to share, two events that were relevant to the school district. On September 17th, Representative Tara Costa-Howard held a 48th District Property Tax Assessment Seminar at COD. This has been done in the past. Three key points that were made. There were assessors from Milton, York, and Lisle Township who all presented. They answered questions about how property assessments are conducted, when property values are reassessed, the different kinds of assessments that are done, and what the appeal process is if a homeowner disagrees with an assessment. The assessors also explained how the effective tax rate is determined, why it's important for the property tax an individual homeowner pays, and the implications of things like exemptions and TIFs in the total parcels of land assessed on what a homeowner annually pays in property taxes. And then finally, the assessors illustrated how homes equally valued but in different taxing districts generate, for a myriad of reasons, different tax obligations. So a very informative session. I attended one similar when Representative Green was in the seat, and the folks came out from the assessor's office and really did a nice job in walking people through that.
I'm back.
You want to go? Go ahead. Now that you're back, don't want you to lose it.
Sure. So Daggett discussed how the role of automation and artificial intelligence will transform our workplace and what 10 skills will be most needed to make students career ready in the future. What I thought was the interesting takeaway was that there are 5 characteristics of rapidly improving schools, and I think we hit all of them, although I don't know what all these mean to the fullest extent. But future focused, with social emotional learning being the biggest opportunity. Growth focused, which we are, versus performance focused. Rigor, relevance, and relationships, which I know we definitely are focusing a lot on relationships, and we hear about fidelity, so I think that sounds like we're doing that. And executive coaching professional development, which to me is what we did with Dr. Julie Costin in our doing. So we're hitting all those 5 characteristics of rapidly improving schools. Some areas for follow-up for the Board of Education to sort of think about, first of all, Dr. K should be receiving the slides from that presentation, so if you want to take a look at them. Dr. Daggett also wrote several books, one of which is called Making Schools Work, so we might want to add that to our library. And there's some really great professional development opportunities coming up for our staff from that, if, that we may be asked to support, though I don't know, that's not been discussed. But they have a model school conference in the summer of 2020, and there is a Innovation Network 1-year professional development opportunity that basically I think probably looks much closer at all those studies that I mentioned. I also attended on the 20th the Glen Ellyn Public Library Foundation donor event, and it was a really lovely evening catered by the 3-7 Pathway Cafe, which is was built with some foundation funds. The foundation president, Kelly Kalinich, and the library executive director, Don Busey, is it Busey or Bussey? I've heard it a million times, but so she gave a short presentation on all that the foundation has accomplished and their next event that they're planning to raise funds for a mobile library that will increase their visibility because they do a lot of mobile library services, and if they have kind of a branded vehicle in which to do that, people actually see that that's happening versus piles of books in the trunks of cars. That doesn't really communicate it. And Julie, thanks for mentioning the next GPS event. I just want to follow up that PTA Council will also be hosting a parent chat the week after on Thursday, October 3rd. And I'm hosting it at my house, but it'll be a discussion about children's relationships as a follow-on to Rachel Simmons' presentation and her book called Odd Girl Out. And we do have a policy meeting coming up on the 2nd, and so if there's any questions the board has that they would like us to discuss and bring back to the table after that meeting, please forward them on.
Thank you. Thank you. And then finally, the second activity that I was involved with, you may know that the governor formed a property, it's hard to say this word, from a property tax task force subcommittee, those words together. And the task force committees, there are multiple subcommittees, and 2 of them are particularly relevant to us. One is on the property tax extension limitation law, or PTEL, and then a second one is on school funding and tax levy. And those subcommittees met in Chicago last week. And just to summarize the discussion for you, starting with the PTEL committee, the representatives heard testimony from a representative from the Illinois Taxpayers Federation who summarized the history and the mechanics of the PTEL law. They also heard from representatives from villages, parks, and library districts. The discussion focused on the effects of the law. A critical compound question: did the law hold down property tax growth, but also allow taxing districts to fund their inflationary cost of operations? Witnesses who spoke wanted the committee to consider the unintended consequences of amending the law in a singular way when there are multiple different taxing districts that are impacted by the law in different ways. Also, a beginning of a discussion about a previously submitted bill by Senator Don Harmon to allow taxing districts to claw back for a period of years in a phased-in manner any unlevied tax extension in a previous year. Now, this proposal is predicated on a recognition that the taxing bodies, without alternative substantive funding options, typically schools, are rationally incentivized to always levy up to the CPI. So that discussion has just begun. And then quickly, the School Funding and Tax Levy Subcommittee. Testimony was heard from representatives from 4 school district management associations, including LEN, the organization representing DuPage that Julie reported on. The discussion focused on the impact of the education-based funding model on Tier 1 and 2 school districts and on their tax extension. Tier 1 and 2 would be the lower resourced schools. 2 superintendents also from non-PTEL counties spoke about how they do their tax extension. There was also testimony about the aid that had gone to Tier 3 and 4 school districts. These would be the best resource districts. Glen Ellyn, District 41 would be at this level. How that state aid had held flat for over a decade, and as a result, tax extensions, in fact, had grown over that time. And then finally, there was discussion over how to understand, value, really interpret what a fund balance is and how it's achieved and arrived at. And questions were posed about the relationship between the size of the reserve and the tax extension. Okay? So some important work being done by those subcommittees to perhaps bring bills to the General Assembly in the spring. That would obviously have an impact on us here. Okay, well, thanks to all board members. Good work. You were all very busy. Appreciate you taking the time to be out there and write the reports. Okay, public participation. Members of the public who wish to address the board should complete the yellow public participation form and hand it to Mrs. Moak. Speakers are asked to maintain respectful decorum and limit comments to 3 minutes or less. At about 30 seconds, I will remind you that your time is short. Ms. Moak, is there anyone who would like to make public comment?
By the way, Ms. McCluskey, with regard to reading, Stanislaw Dehaene has one of the best neuroscience labs in the world. He's in France, and he's been writing books about reading and dyslexia for about 15 years. Okay. All right. Okay. Is America a land of opportunity? Wow, what a great question. That's kind of what I'm going to talk about. Let me just start out for a second. I wanted to talk about autism. Autism speaks to us because it's a condition with a known cause, or without a known cause. Randomly, it inflicts an atypical brain development on people, which leads to a lifetime of struggles in school and their social life, and we spend billions on autism every year. On the other hand, fetal alcohol syndrome is an equally devastating condition, but I've found that few people actually care about it. This is because it's preventable and because of the stigma attached to it, and also maybe because outwardly a lot of FAS people seem just fine. In any case, children afflicted with these conditions, autism, FAS, deafness, emotional disturbance, traumatic brain injury, are all children who benefit tremendously from a positive early education environment. So each year, about 10% of the students in District 41 are receiving services because of various difficulties in school. And over the years, I've come to believe that these students, after leaving D41, don't have an especially successful future because they didn't have much success when they were here. Often it's because they were not college ready, or they weren't fast calculators, or insatiable readers, or had fabulous memory. This is a pretty narrow standard to judge our students, but in fact, where I work in the engineering world, we tend not to hire a lot of these kind of people. We have computers to do calculating and memory searching. We need creators and people who see things in different ways. Dr. K, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, even though I'm half Polish. It's still a lot. When you're speaking at the Rotary Club this week about the future of District 41 schools, I would ask that you include all of the students in your charge as part of your discussion. District 41 has not been a good student to the 10% of students who vitally need a good education. They need a good education, not a facade of an education. And I think this can be done without taking resources from other areas. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Very well done.
I start? Okay.
Please, go ahead.
I'm here as a concerned community member. Excuse my voice. My children are no longer in D41. One is a senior at NYU and another a junior at Glenbard West. My daughter left Ben Franklin as she entered 5th grade and enrolled at St. Petronell. I tell you this so that you understand I am not familiar at this point in time with D41 staff, board members, or any administrators. I want Mrs. Clark to understand that my opinions are not formed by relationships with any of you, and likewise, you should know that I've never met Mrs. Clark. My comments tonight are based solely on my viewing online of meetings, minutes, and documents provided via the D41 website. I tuned in to watch the meeting on January 21st concerning Dr. Gordon's contract because I had picked up bits and pieces via social media. I was curious as to what was happening. Appalled is an understatement. In today's political climate, perhaps I should not have been surprised, but still I was shocked at the way grown adults were addressing one another. I continue to watch as the election of D41 school board members ignited passion in this community. I voted, the community voted, and a new board has been seated. This community has put a great deal of faith in you. I've continued to watch the recorded sessions and read the minutes. All I can say is this really happening? Am I really witnessing elected officials of our school board basically skewer an outgoing board member through legal intimidation, public humility, and financial cost? According to the timeline I researched, Mrs. Clark used the Google download on April 14th. When the district employee realized this, it was reported, access was shut down, and legal advice was sought. This was well before May 1st, when she was contacted by Mr. Bruno for the first time. Why was she not immediately notified and told to destroy or return on April 15th? Stating that Mrs. Clark would not respond on May 8th via text or phone needs context. Would you respond via text or phone when you were being threatened? I wouldn't. I would have immediately sought legal counsel, yet for some reason, Mrs. Clark had faith in the system that it would act fairly and provide her with legal counsel as the event occurred while she was a D41 board president. If this was all about a Google download and involved documents deemed very important, why didn't you call her in immediately, talk to her, and verify? Okay, so I'll just kind of skip forward. I still cannot wrap my head around why the seemingly personal vendetta is being handled this way. Essentially, you wasted my taxpayer dollars on going after her in, quite frankly, a really nasty way. You now face the possibility of increased legal costs for the recovery of her legal costs and a possible libel suit. Can this just please end? I'm asking for the following. 1, pay Ms. Clark's legal fees that were caused by the board's failure to talk face-to-face from the very beginning and not providing her with legal counsel. And second, and this one is extremely important to me, can you talk in either open or closed session how to move forward in a constructive way to benefit this community while putting aside all the past animosity towards one another?
Thank you, Lori.
Good evening, my name is Doug Surrey. I am the father of 2 daughters in District 41. Professionally, I'm an attorney who concentrates my practice in private practice in the representation of condominium and homeowners associations. I work almost exclusively with elected volunteer boards. To that end, I offer a bit of a unique perspective on board governance and operations. I attend dozens of community association board meetings each year in the evening, just like you all are here tonight. I have seen groups that cover the entire spectrum, from high functioning, low functioning, to downright dysfunctional. Unfortunately, until the recent change in leadership and board composition, D41 board had become a totally dysfunctional unit with a total lack of leadership. It was as dysfunctional, and anybody in the community who's talked to me knows I've shared this thought, it was as dysfunctional as, if not more, than the most dysfunctional and poorly run condominium association I have encountered, and that is saying a lot. I'm here tonight to commend this board for the work it is doing and the tone it is setting. The professional development you've undertaken over the last several months has been extensive, and it's been important. The recent sessions pertaining to board governance and effective board leadership were long and exhaustive, but one only needs to watch a few minutes of the discussion and debate to see that this group is dedicated to the important reset that this board and this district so desperately needs. I, for one, especially appreciate the discussion about board roles and responsibilities, as it was becoming increasingly difficult to watch the board operate in the weeds, micromanage the district, and frankly engage in discussions that none of them were intellectually qualified to have. Academic experts should make the academic decisions, and I'm glad to see our board taking strides to let this happen again. I'm also grateful to see the respect not only shown to each other during discussions, but to those members of the district who come and take the time to attend these meetings. They're not being yelled at or bullied. Thank you, Dr. Bruno, for your leadership and your commitment to intelligent, reasoned discussion. Thank you for the balance of the board, our new board members, for raising the bar. Thank you for bringing this body out of the morass. And thank you for your continued commitment to our kids and our district.
Mrs. Vogt?
My name is Amy Watroba. I have a son who is a District 41 graduate. I don't know the kind lady who spoke before me, but I want to thank you for coming out in support. I, as the board is aware, and many others have been supporting Ms. Clark in her efforts to encourage the board to reconsider its decision about reimbursing her for her legal fees. I've made my position, my substantive position on that, certainly clear in prior board meetings. So the timeliness of, I think it's very telling that a community member who, as she said, has no connections to anyone, has not been a part of the ugliness, which, as calm as the speaker who preceded me may have appeared to be, was part of. She's not part of it, and she, looking from the outside, is urging this board to do the right thing and to move forward. And we all have a common interest in moving forward because it's good for the community, it sets a good example for our children. We teach our children that they should listen to other opinions and other perspectives, and that it's okay to change your mind, and it's okay to take responsibility for your own actions. In fact, you should. I think that this ugliness, unfortunately, there is no other explanation, is that this was personal against Mrs. Clark. I think the fact that Mr. Surrey, who spoke right before me, I think it's clear that actually proves the point. There's no reason.
Not to call out another. Point out of order, but please continue.
Can't tell what to say or not say.
We would encourage you not to call out other members of the community.
That's silencing somebody, Bob. That's
it's an encouragement, Susan. It's an encouragement.
Encouragement, okay.
Go ahead, Grant.
I mean, no disrespect. I happen to know the person, and the person did state his name when he spoke before me, so I don't understand why that would be at all inappropriate for me to rebut or comment on the comments that preceded me. And, all right. I could, but I won't read a text that I've received from that person on this subject. But in the interest of, I just, those of you who know me and have known my involvement in this community for a long time know that I just want things to get done and to get done well and everyone to get along. And I would encourage this board to get over whatever its personal motivation, whatever its hubris or issues are, and to do the right thing. There's no reason why. In fact, I think in the first correspondence, where I believe that Dr. Bruno, you said that council was considering the district's rights and Ms. Clark's rights, you've actually admitted already that the district should cover her legal expenses. Thank you.
Hi there. D41 threatened me with legal action on a matter that occurred while I was still serving on the board, all while denying my access to legal counsel. Mr. Faulkner's failure to represent me forced me to seek legal counsel on my own. The community has spoken, and the district should be paying these fees. I'd like to highlight the arguments presented by the board on September 9th when they refused to pay my minimal $3,000 in fees. For Mr. Estes, we did not go after her. From day one, we made every effort to resolve the situation quickly, quietly, with minimal cost. I hope Ms. Clark recognizes that we had no need to bring this forward publicly, and our only interest was securing the records which were obligated by law to keep confidential. Yet, the first correspondence from D41 was far from quick. I wasn't contacted until 2.5 weeks after the fact and was told by Mr. Bruno, we are in the process of determining the district's rights and your rights, if any, in this matter and will communicate further with you very soon. There was no ask to have a conversation. Also notice the district mentions my rights. That was never mentioned again. Mr. Bruno followed with another letter. I will be requesting the board to consider appropriate legal action to compel return of the records. And then he finally sent me, if the email issues are not resolved by that meeting through a document signed by you and me, you should expect that a detailed explanation of this issue will be given in open session, followed by action to demand the return and/or evidence destruction of records, initiate the steps for legal action against you, and deny your request for legal defense or reimbursement in this matter. It certainly seems the board wanted this public. Ms. Hill indicated that it's illegal to pay my legal fees. That simply is not true. Per an email from Mr. Bruno, to me, you risk the loss of the indemnity and defense protection afforded by school code to current and former board members if it is determined that you acted outside the scope of your authority as a board member in downloading the records or lack the authority to retain the records once you are no longer a board member. However, in the same letter, Mr. Bruno also admitted, the Board Policy Committee will be developing a policy or protocol for board approval, which identifies the rights and responsibilities of current, outgoing, and former board members in regard to access to and retention of paper and electronic records in the course of service as a board member. So in one email, Mr. Bruno admitted that I have protection under school code, and there is no school code or policy that exists that outlines I have done anything negligent. Mr. Lobach claimed it was my obligation to come forward about the matter. I accidentally saved more emails than I intended, and I immediately deleted them. Please cite where I was obligated to report this since by the board's own admission, no policy or protocol exists. They're trying to create it after the fact. Ms. Buttermer claimed that this is extortion. The dictionary defines extortion as practice of obtaining something, especially money, through force or threats. The people making threats is this board, threatening me with costly legal action and public embarrassment. Throwing words around like extortion, victim, and illegal are just a smokescreen to your political vendetta that you claim is a confidentiality issue. Even Mrs. D'Ambrosio and Mr. Curry have said the board majority has made this matter personal. By Mr. Estes' own admission, there is no explanation for the 2.5-week delay in contacting me. The only answer is retribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on. Next item is a discussion having to do with fund transfers. Melissa, you will lead this.
This is a discussion item for this evening for our new board members. Just want to share that this is an So Eric, I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to describe the transfer funds.
Yeah, this is budgeted. It's within the budget as it is every year. What we're doing is moving funds out of the ed fund and ultimately over to the operations and then capital projects fund to cover our capital project spend during the summer. Same thing we've done for numerous years. So tonight is just a discussion. We'll bring the action at the next meeting following a public hearing, which is required when you do this.
So if you have any further questions, you'll have time for discussion.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, on to our action items. Oh, if you had one, I'm looking around.
$10 million over 5 years.
Yes, it is, but it's also something that's always happened whenever we're funding projects because we can't levy out of the capital projects fund. Yep.
So the action items up next under the consent agenda. Are there any items board members would like to be removed from the consent agenda to be considered separate? None? May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the personnel report, including employment recommendation, the school district payment order through September 16th, the August financial reports, including monthly summary report, investment schedule, treasurer's report, summary of bills and payroll, vandalism report, and disposal of surplus property, the open and closed session board meeting minutes of August 12th, and the special meeting of September 10th. Need a second? Not a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. We move on to the next item where we will get an update around learning together, board governance, and our superintendent. Take us through that.
Right. Looking forward to our next session, which is on the 30th from 6 to 10. We will be here. As promised, I anticipate that Dr. Van Clay will come back and spend the majority of time focusing on the data, as board members have requested him to do so, and also with some monitoring tools that he had promised to share. We didn't have any homework from the last session, so I don't think there's anything that the board needs to do other than ready and please bring snacks, treats, or whatever you need to be comfortable during that time. Well, snacks or treats.
Very good, very good. All right. We have some upcoming meetings. And looks like just noted the third workshop with CEC, which will be on September the 30th here at 6 p.m. And then regular board meeting on October the 14th and on October the 28th. Are there any items board members wish to present for consideration to a future agenda?
I just think we need to list a policy meeting on the agenda for next time. Right? Don't we normally have the policy meeting? Oh, we don't? Oh, never mind. So sorry. Okay. Yeah, I should have known.
Very good. We will now, may I have a motion to adjourn to closed session under Section 2C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees, and Section 2C5, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. Any discussion? Roll call. Mr. Estes? Yes. Mr. Still? Yes. Mr. Robot? Yes. Mr. Curry? Yes. Mr. Butler?
Yes.
Dr. Bruno? Yes. The board will not be taking any action after the closed session.